Let me see it started or not. Okay, now. So there are two methods to find out the seismic response of the structure, that is the response of a structure because of the earthquake loading. The first method is the dynamic analysis. And dynamic analysis, we have time history analysis and the response spectrum analysis. These two we have already discussed. We have another method, that is the code specified static load procedure. Now, please tell me which method is easier to find out the response, static analysis or the dynamic analysis?
Static.
Static analysis, that is definitely this, that is much easier than the dynamic analysis. So code give us another method to find out the response which is close to the response because of a certain earthquake. That is not the exactly the dynamic procedure, but they have considered the characteristics of the earthquake and dynamic properties of the structures. They have already incorporated these two properties in their empirical formulas. What are those? We will discuss later. So we have the empirical formulas. By using those empirical formulas, what we can do, we can calculate the inertial forces. Definitely, any earthquake causes the inertial forces in the structure. So but they have given us some empirical formulas, and by using those empirical formulas, we can calculate the inertial forces, and then inertial forces in the form of the base shear. Base shear, total lateral force at the base of the structure. So once we have that value of the base, that value of the lateral force, we can distribute the forces along the height. Okay. So please note down here, these formulas, empirical formulas, do not explicitly account for the dynamic characteristics of the particular structures being designed or analyzed. So they don't consider the dynamic characteristics explicitly, but they have incorporated the dynamic properties are the type of the loading and also the dynamic properties of the structures in the empirical formulas. And they have some limitations. This method has some limitations. What are those limitations? We can use this method only for the regular structures. You can see the limits or the limitation of this method in the building code of Pakistan. Okay, so in general, they can be used only for the regular structure, having the uniform distribution of mass and the stiffness. There should not be irregularity in the plane and in the elevation. What could be the different possible irregularities in the plane or in the elevation? We will discuss in detail in the next lecture. So at this stage, just remember that this method has some limits. Okay, so if those conditions are satisfied, we can use this method. If those conditions will not be satisfied, we cannot use this method. Okay, so for the routine structure, for the regular structure, in which we have the uniform distribution of mass and the stiffness, we can use this method. Okay, what is the concept of the lateral static force method or the equivalent static force method? In this method, place the static loads on the structure with the magnitude and the direction that closely approximate. So we have to apply the static loads on the structure that will closely approximate the effect of the dynamic loading caused by the earthquake. Okay, so the basic concept is that we can apply the lateral forces that they are static in nature, and those lateral forces will have the same effect, almost the same effect as the effect of a dynamic load because of a certain earthquake. So we can apply we can calculate the base shear, and then we can apply the concentrated lateral forces to the floor levels. Why floor levels? Because at these levels, the concentration of the mass is maximum. And we have the smaller force at the lower level and larger forces at the higher level. So these magnitude of these forces will increase with the elevation. So also the greatest displacement, later displacement at the top level will be more than the lower levels. So we have two methods, two code specified procedures, almost the similar in both. We have to use the empirical formulas. The first code is the IBC code and the second is UBC code. What is IBC? Have you heard this one? सुना हुआ है IBC?
Yes, sir. I think, sir, International Building Code for.
You are right. International Building Code and UBC. This is the Uniform Building Code. Please note down. IBC is the International Building Code, and UBC is the Unified Building Code. At this moment, in the Building Code of Pakistan, we use the UBC seismic provisions for the design of the structures. But maybe it is at the modification stage, and after some time, we may have the IBC in our code. They are modifying, updating the PCB code. Okay. In general, the distribution of the lateral forces is associated with the first mode of vibration. So we have the cantilever structure. Buildings, they are the cantilever structure. They are fixed at the base. So we can idealize these structures as the cantilever, which are fixed at the ground. So they are associated with the first mode of vibration. Normally, the regular structure, even you have seen in the example, the response in the first mode of vibration that was dominant. Okay, so if the time period is more than a certain value, or the height is more than a certain value, then we can use the additional load, additional lateral force at the top level, which will incorporate the other mode of vibrations. So UBC consider the additional lateral force FT for the effects of the higher mode of vibrations, and that additional force is to be applied at the top level of the structures. So mainly the first these lateral forces are associated with the first mode of vibration. But if the time period is more than a certain value, or height is more than a certain value, in that case, the code gives us another formula to calculate the additional lateral force, and that additional lateral force is to be applied at the top level of the structure. And please note down the sum of all the lateral forces. Sum of all the lateral forces and the additional lateral force at the top level must be equal to the base shear. Okay, which is the total lateral force at the base of the structure. So we can calculate the base shear by using the empirical formula whose effect is same or similar to the effect because of a certain earthquake, and then we can distribute the forces along the height, and these magnitude of these forces will increase with the elevation. If the time period is more than a certain value, we can apply the additional force which is to be applied at the top level. So V is the base shear, Fx is the lateral forces to be applied at the different levels. We can calculate these forces by using the formulas given in the code. And Ft is the additional force. If the elevation is more than a certain value and or the time period is more than a certain value. So additional force which is to be applied at the top level. And sum of all the forces that should be equal to the base shear. Okay, this is very important. How can we calculate the base shear? Initially, at the start in the start of the last century, they normally because at that time they did not have the better understanding of the response of the structure because of the wind loading or the earthquake loading. Simply, they assume a same value of the load, lateral force for the wind response of the structure because of the wind and also because of the earthquake. But later on, it was modified. And then I think in 1960, the design practice was that simply apply the load, lateral load, 10% of the weight of the structure, because we have seen that earthquake response, that is the function of the weight of the structure. And then they incorporate many other factors. What are the main factors at the present in the present code? which they consider to calculate the base shear. So base shear is the estimation of the maximum expected lateral force that will occur due to the seismic ground motion at the base of the structure. So this is the maximum load which can be applied at the base, which can be produced at the base of the structure because of certain earthquake. So calculation of base shear, it depends on these factors. Please note down these factors. They are very, very important. I will ask you later. The first factor is the soil conditions at the site. It's soft soil, stiff soil, hard rock. So type of the soil is also very important. Then proximity of the potential source of the seismic activity. How far is the site from the geological fault? Distance of the location from the epicenter. Then probability of occurrence of a certain earthquake. These are the factors. These are the properties of the earthquake. Dynamic loading. Dynamic load or the earthquake load depends on the soil conditions. It depends, its magnitude or the intensity depends on the distance from the epicenter. It's also depend on the seismic activity or the probability of occurrence of that earthquake in that particular area. So these are the properties of a earthquake. And then they also consider the properties of the structure, dynamic properties of the structure. The main factor is the weight of the structure, because in inertial forces, they are the factor of the weight of the structure. Then the fundamental time period of the structure is also very important. So they consider the weight of the structure, also the time period of the structure. And also they consider the type of the structure. The structure is ductile or brittle. It can absorb the energy after yielding or not. Okay, so ductility level or overstrength associated with the various structure configurations. So if it can absorb the energy after yielding, it's ductile. We make because it will give you some warning before failure. So to economize the structure, what we can do, we can design the structure for the lower earthquake forces. In detail, we will discuss one by one in the coming slides. Okay, what is the first factor? Next slide पे चला जाए.
Soil conditions at the site.
बिल्कुल. The first factor is the soil conditions at the site. Second factor.
Proximity of the seismic
at the site. दोनों बातें पूछता हूँ, चलो. The second is
proximity of the seismic activity.
Proximity of the seismic activity. It means the distance of the site from the active fault. यानी epicenter से आपकी लोकेशन कहाँ पर है, ठीक है? The third factor.
Probability of occurrence.
Probability of occurrence of a certain earthquake. ठीक है ना? कितनी probability कितनी है? किस type की magnitude का earthquake और intensity का earthquake उस location पे, उस site पे आ सकता है. So these are the three factors. And then dynamic properties of the structure. वो कौन-कौन सी important properties हैं? The most important property is the weight of the structure. ठीक है? Because weight is, if the weight is more, inertial forces will be more. So first factor is the weight of the structure. Second factor. ये तो कुछ बानी याद होगा.
Ductility
The level of ductility.
over reinforced.
Ductility. The structure is ductile or brittle. Okay. And the third factor, important factor. Third factor क्या था? ये तो नहीं बोलना चाहिए बेटा आपको. ये तो हमने बहुत डिस्कस किया है. Weight, type of the structure, ductile or brittle.
Sir, vibration period.
Time period. Time period is very, very important. What do you think? This is an important structural property. So time period, weight, and the type of the structure is ductile or brittle. And then these are dynamic properties of the structures. And then the properties of the earthquake loading or the dynamic loading. Soil type, distance from the epicenter, and the probability of occurrence of the earthquake. Okay, these are the factors which they have incorporated in the empirical formulas. Let's see the empirical formulas. This slide we will discuss later. These are the empirical formulas. This is the formula to calculate the base shear. So base shear is directly proportional to the, this CV is the coefficient of seismic coefficient of velocity. Seismic velocity coefficient, and this is the seismic acceleration coefficient. One by one, each factor we will discuss in detail later on. So base shear is directly proportional to the magnitude of the earthquake or the intensity of the earthquake. What do you think? From this formula, base shear is directly proportional to the intensity or the magnitude of the earthquake. If the intensity or the magnitude of the earthquake is more, then this factor will be more. And this factor depends on the type of the soil and the seismic zone in which area your site is. कहाँ पे आप construction करना चाह रहे हैं. So base shear is directly proportional to the magnitude of the earthquake, and then it is also directly proportional to the weight of the structure, W. W ज़्यादा होगा, base shear ज़्यादा होगी. It is inversely proportional to the time period of the structure. It is also inversely proportional to the strength reduction factor. Ductile structure होगा, so you can design that structure for the lower base shear. Okay, but if the structure will fail in a brittle manner, so you have to have some more factor of safety. So R factor, this is the response modification factor, which incorporates the ductility of the structure or the structural configuration. So it is inversely proportional to the response modification factor. And then we have I. I is the importance factor. How important the structure is. You will take more value if the structure is more important. For example, look at here. It is a hospital building, emergency building. Okay. Maybe I can. Occupancies having surgery and the emergency treatment areas, fire and the police stations, garages and shelters for the emergency vehicles. So this is the essential facility. So you have to take more importance factor to these kind of structures. And then we have the special occupancy, hazardous facilities, and the standard occupancy structures. So if the structure is more important, then I will be more. If it is less important, you can design it for the small base shear forces. Okay, this is the formula to calculate the base shear. The other formula we will discuss later. So this slide I skipped. Let's see this slide. The geographical regions, they have been categorized into different seismic zones. Okay? So this is the seismic zoning map of Pakistan. So this is the geographical map of Pakistan. It is divided, or it is categorized into different seismic zone. Seismic zone 1 to 4. Seismic zone 1 indicates the geographic location where there is the least seismic activity. And seismic zone 4 is the geographic location where there is high chances or high probability of the significant seismic activity. So we have zone 1, zone 2A, zone 2B, zone 3, zone 4. So in zone 4, there is high probability of large magnitude of earthquake. Okay. And zone 1, there are less chances of the earthquake. If there will be earthquake, they will be of small magnitude. So geographical regions, they have been divided into different seismic zones. And these zones for the Pakistan, they are 1 to 4. 1, zone 2A, zone 2B, zone 3, zone 4. Okay. So these are the seismic zones of Pakistan. Okay. We can calculate the base shear by using this basic formula. It's given in the UBC code. Equation is 34. Base shear should not exceed this value, and it should not be less than this value. These are the limits for the maximum base shear and minimum value of the base shear. And if the structure is to be designed in the seismic zone 4, the base shear should not be less than this value. Okay. Now, one by one, we will discuss the different factors in these formulas. Z is the seismic zone factor. Table is 16.1. I is the importance factor. R is the response modification factor. It is the representation of the inherent overstrength or the ductility capacity of the lateral force resisting system. Ca is the seismic acceleration coefficient. Cv is the seismic velocity coefficient. Nv is the near source factor. If the site is near to the source active fault, then we have to use this factor, especially for the seismic zone 4. And then how can we calculate the total weight of the structure? To calculate the seismic weight, it will include the total dead load of the structure, 25% of the floor live loads for the storages and the warehouses, minimum allowance of 50 kg per meter square for the movable partitions, and total weight of the permanent equipments and the fittings. Okay, so we can calculate the weight of the structure by using these guidelines. Seismic zone, this is the table number 16.1. So we have the seismic zone factor Z. For 1, the value is small. For the seismic zone 4, the value of Z is larger. Okay, then the importance factor I, how important the structure is. Okay, if it is for the emergency treatment areas, fire or police stations, emergency preparedness centers, aviation control towers, its essential facilities, importance factor is high. Similarly, for the hazardous facilities, for example, housing or sporting toxic or explosive chemicals or the substances. Again, it is more important because if there's some problem in these type of structures, then there will be more damage. So this value is again high, 1.25, and then special occupancy structures. Okay, so all types of structures are given here. Simply we have to pick the type of our structure from this table, and then we can see the value of the importance factor from this table. Ductility. Look at these 3 graphs. This is the load deformation relationship for one structure, for the other structure, for the third structure. So this structure is ductile, having good ductility. This structure has the medium ductility, and this is brittle. So if the structure can absorb more energy in the inelastic range after yielding, that will be ductile. So value of response modification factor can be determined if the structure will have the capacity or the energy absorption in the inelastic range. So we can design the ductile structure for the reduced value of the base shear. This is the response modification factor, and you can pick the value of the R from this table. For example, here, if we have the load bearing structure, concrete or masonry ball load bearing structure, the response magnification factor is low, but for the moment resisting frame or special moment resisting frame, the response modification factor is high. So for the ductile structure, response modification factor is a high value, and for the brittle type of structures or with the medium ductility or less ductility, the response modification factor is small. So base shear calculated from the empirical formula will be small for the ductile structure, and it will be more for the brittle structures. Then we can see the value of the seismic coefficient, acceleration seismic coefficient and the velocity seismic coefficient from these 2 tables. So this is the table for the acceleration seismic coefficient. It depends on the seismic zone and the type of the soil. And you can see the type of the soil here: hard rock, dense soil, stiff soil, soft soil. They are categorized on the basis of the standard penetration test, shear wave velocity, and undrained shear strength. So we can have the type of the soil, and then we can see the value of the acceleration seismic coefficient from this table. It depends on the type of the soil and the seismic zone. For example, if the type of the soil is stiff soil, SD, we can see the type of soil from here, SD. And then if our structure is to be designed in the seismic zone this seismic zone, suppose 0.3. This is seismic zone 3. So simply we can pick the value of the seismic acceleration coefficient from this table. Similarly, we can see the value of the seismic velocity coefficient from this table. It again depends on the type of the soil and the seismic zone. And for the seismic zone 4, we have to use the near source factor. If the epicenter is near to the site, so these are the seismic source types. It depends on the magnitude of the earthquake and the slip rate. That is millimeter per year. This is the magnitude on the Richter scale. For example, here C. Faults are not that are not capable of producing large magnitude. If the magnitude of the earthquake is less than 6.5 and the slip rate at the active fault is less than 2 millimeter per year, then that is the seismic source type C. And then we can see the value of the near source factor from this table. So seismic source type T, we can see from this table, and then how far is the location from the epicenter. If it is 10 kilometers from the epicenter or more than 15 kilometers from the epicenter, so we can pick the value of the near source factor from this table. Less than 2 kilometers, and then 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and more than 15 kilometers. Any question up to this point? जी बेटा, कोई क्वेश्चन है आप लोगों का? Do you have any question? अगर क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो नो ही बोल दो बेटा, मुझे पता चले आप मेरे साथ है ठीक है नहीं.
नो सर, नो.
जी हमाद, अहमद, क्लियर है आपको? कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं आपका? जी हमाद,
क्लियर.
हमाद.
यस सर.
जी बेटा, जाग रहे हो कि नहीं?
जाग रहा हूँ.
जाग रहे. फैसल, आर यू देयर? हमाद, हसीब, तलहा, इन लोगों की आवाज नहीं आ रही मुझे. यासीन, अली रजा, यासीन बोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. यासीन, आर यू देयर?
यस सर, क्लियर है.
नो सर, नो क्वेश्चन.
कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है. अगर आपका कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो मैं क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा आपसे. सो व्हाई देयर इज अ नीड टू हैव दिस मेथड? इसके वजह क्या है? Although we have discussed that the reason already. Why we have to use this method? Because this is not the dynamic procedure. This is the static method. जो समझ लग रही है बोल दो यार, इसमें क्या है? तलहा, यासीन, why there was a need? जरूरत क्या है इसकी मेथड की? कमाल जी.
सर मुझे लगता है कि शायद इसकी इसलिए जरूरत पड़ी क्योंकि पिछले मेथड में हमें रिस्पांस स्पेक्ट्रम चाहिए था और हर अर्थक्वेक के लिए हमारे पास
बेटा
रिस्पांस
इसका आंसर आपने दे दिया
स्पेक्ट्रम
हुआ है. This method is much easier than the actual dynamic procedure. ये
बस
वजह है.
और कोई रीजन नहीं है
This is
सर.
the main reason. This is the main reason that we can easily find out the response by performing the static analysis instead of the dynamic analysis.
ओके सर.
ये main reason तो यही है ना. This method is easier than the previous methods. What do you think? कमाल, इजी है ना ये मेथड?
यस सर, ऐसे ही है सर.
स्टैटिक लोड्स आपके पास है, स्टैटिक एनालिसिस आपने परफॉर्म करना है, इजीली यू कैन फाइंड आउट द रिस्पांस.
बिल्कुल.
इट्स नॉट इजी टू फाइंड आउट द डायनामिक रिस्पांस. आप इक्वेशन इमोशंस भी लिख लेते हैं, बट इट्स डिफिकल्ट टू solve those equation emotions.
यस.
Okay, so for the simple structure, routine structure, regular structures, if the conditions are satisfied, we can design those structures by using the code specified method. ठीक है बेटा? This is the main reason. But for the important structures, if the structure is unique and the conditions which are given in the code, they are not satisfied. They have given the conditions क्या है? कि आपका structure regular होगा, there should not be irregularities in the structure. along the elevation in the plane. ठीक है? So for the regular structure, routine structure, we can use this method. But for the important structures, we have to perform the actual dynamic analysis. Because for the routine structure, we have the idea what kind of response will be because of a certain dynamic or that quick activity. Okay? But for the special structures, for the unique structures, maybe we don't have the exact idea. So for those structures, we should have to perform the actual dynamic analysis. क्या ख्याल है? एग्री कर रहे हैं कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
यही है, चलें. So this method is easier than the other two methods. That's why we are discussing this method. And in the design offices, we may use this method to find out to approximate the dynamic response, okay, for the regular structure, for the routine structures only. Okay. How can we calculate the time period? Any student? What is the procedure to calculate the time period?
Sir, first we calculate the natural frequency and then T is equal to 2 pi over omega.
You're right. If it is a single degree freedom system, time period K over M under root यही होता है. Sorry, we can find out the omega value and then 2 pi over omega n. That is the time period. इसी तरह करते हैं ना for the single degree freedom system. But for the multi degree freedom system, how can we calculate the time period? For the single degree freedom system, you can calculate omega, you can calculate the time period by using 2 pi over omega n. How about for the multi degree freedom system? किया है यार, वो हमने भी किया है, अभी हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे. उसको क्या कहते हैं? We can perform the. अब इसके मार्क्स हैं, ये बड़ा सिंपल क्वेश्चन जो मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ. You are not responding. हमाद, आपने इनिशियली पूछा था ना, वो जो सेकंड एग्जांपल में था, इशू था कैलकुलेशन में.
सर मैंने पूछा था.
जी ताहा, आप बताएं. If you have to find out the time period for the multi-degree system, क्या प्रोसीजर है?
सर उसके लिए सर हमने सर वो लैम्डा की वैल्यूज बेसिकली जो प्रॉब्लम में इशू था, क्वेश्चन में इशू आ था वो
ना, that
yes sir,
as the modal analysis, free vibration analysis.
yes sir,
ये था ना modal analysis or the free vibration analysis. We will
yes,
have
sir.
n omega values and mode shapes. So that is the modal analysis.
Yes,
ठीक है? So we can perform the modal analysis. We will have n omega values and t values. ठीक है ना? हर मोड के लिए हम t value calculate कर सकते हैं. So simply we have to perform the modal analysis. So if you have to find out the time period, you have to perform the modal analysis. Do you agree with me, Taha? Taha, रोल नंबर क्या आपका?
yes sir, sir 81.
81 तो पहले भी लिखा हुआ मैंने. चलो ठीक है. Okay. So to find out the time period, we have to perform the modal analysis. ठीक है? Agree कर रहे हैं मेरे साथ?
Yes sir.
Okay, right. But if we have to design the structure, initially, because design is the iterative process. यही होता है ना? In the design, what do you have to do? You have to decide about the material, which kind of material you have to use, and you have to decide about the configuration of the different in length and the cross-sectional area of the different components. यही होता है design ना? And then if it is a reinforced concrete structure, you can calculate the amount of reinforcement in the different components. So at the initial design stage, can we perform the modal analysis if you don't have the masses, if you don't have the stiffnesses? Stiffness कहाँ से आएगी? From the sizes? क्या ख्याल है?
Yes sir. Yes,
साइज
sir.
होगा तो आपके पास स्टिफनेस आएगी ना. ई
Yes,
और
sir.
आई की वैल्यू होगी तो स्टिफनेस आएगी ना.
Yes sir.
ई आई एंड एल की वैल्यू होगी तो स्टिफनेस आएगी. So it's very useful to approximate the time period at the initial design stage by using some thumb rules or by using some empirical formulas. क्या ख्याल है? यूजफुल होते हैं कि नहीं? थंब रूल्स और एम्पिरिकल फॉर्मूलाज कि जस्ट आप
Yes, sir.
वैल्यू आपके पास हो, डिवाइड करें, आपको आइडिया तो ना, रफ आइडिया. डेफिनेटली the exact time period, exact value, it depends on many factors. and we will calculate the exact value when we have the complete information. But initially at the design stage, when you are deciding about the material properties and the type of configuration of your structure and the sizes of the components of your structure, it's very useful to have the rough idea about the time period by using some thumb rule. So we have thumb rules, or you can say we have the empirical formulas to approximately calculate the time period. And this is as आपको नजर आ रही स्लाइड की नहीं बेटा? ताहा?
Yes,
ताहा
sir.
नजर आ रही स्लाइड?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the simplest method. Simply divide the number of stories by 10 and you have the approximate value of the time period. Easy है ना? कुछ नहीं चाहिए, कोई stiffness की value नहीं चाहिए. You don't need the mass. You don't have to perform the model analysis. Simply by using thumb rule, you can have the rough idea about the time period. And sometimes it's very useful. Okay, so code give us some empirical formulas. This is the simplest approximate method to calculate the time period. And then we have two methods to calculate the time period. UBC, method A of UBC and method B of UBC. And this method is also very simple. In this method, what we have to do, simply we need the total height of the structure from the base. We can take the power 3/4 and then we can multiply with some coefficient. Coefficient is the type of the structure. If it is a steel moment resisting frame, coefficient is 0.085. If it is reinforced concrete moment resisting frame, the coefficient is 0.073. And other type of buildings, this is the value of the coefficient. So simply you need the height, total height. And by using this empirical formula, you can approximate the time period. And then we have another method. So this is the first method, simply divide the number of stories by 10. This is another empirical method to calculate the time period, because time period is very important information. So at the design stage, at the initial design stage, these empirical formulas are very useful to have a rough idea about the time period of your structure. So then we have a third method, method B of UBC. In this method, we need the weight at the different floors, the lateral force acting at the different floors, and the displacement at the different floors. Okay, so by using this formula, we can calculate the time period. We will solve one example. So time period calculated by this formula should be less than 1.4 times the time period calculated by the method A of UBC for the zone 1, 2, and 3. Similarly, it should be less than 1.3 times the time period calculated by method A of UBC for the zone 4. So we can calculate the lateral displacement at each floor level. How can we calculate this lateral displacement? That is the lateral displacement, lateral forces acting at that floor and above that floor divided by the stiffness of that floor. Again, I am repeating. The lateral force acting at the ith floor and all the floors which are above the ith floor divided by the stiffness, lateral stiffness of that floor plus the lateral displacement of the previous floor. Okay, we will solve one example. It will be more clear to you from that example. So Ki is the shear stiffness of the different floors, and then Fi is the lateral forces at the different levels. W is the dead load at the different levels. G is the acceleration due to gravity. And then we will solve one example. Do you want break now? We should continue.
Yes, sir. Break, sir.
5 minutes sufficient?
10 minutes, sir.
10 minutes. So we have a break for 10 minutes. We will be back after 10 minutes.